Hello friends, welcome back to the Zesty Esty channel. I am your host, Esther, aka Zesty, and I'm so happy that you're here. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made a lovely little jewelry / trinket dish inspired by the Yin and Yang symbol. This trinket dish was made entirely with air dry clay. I'll be just taking you along here and hopefully you enjoy the process. The brand of clay that I am using for this project is the Mart air dry clay. You can purchase this on Amazon, and I've seen this at Winners and HomeSense. I will definitely link it down below. I find that I do prefer this over the DOS air dry clay. I really like working with it. This is a little yin and yang mold that I use to kind of trace out the shape. Honestly, when I started this trinket dish, I didn't really have a plan. I knew I wanted to use the yin and yang symbol in some shape or form, and yeah, that was kind of it. I didn't sketch anything out. I just figured, let's just wing it. Let's just see where the creative process takes us. As you can see, I did cut out a kind of bigger circular piece as the base, and then I plopped the two little yin and yang pieces on top and just kind of smooth those over with a little bit of water, using some clay tools to just manipulate the clay a little bit. I will say with this air dry clay specifically, I find that using less water is better. You don't want to use too much water. I feel like when you're overdoing it with smoothing the clay out with the water, it kind of creates more cracks and it can create a few problems down the line, and it'll take longer to dry, etc. However, you do need some water to attach pieces together. Like right now I decided to add a little bit of an edge to the piece, so I did some very light scoring and added a little bit of water, and I'm just kind of manipulating the clay again with my fingers until I get the edge and shape that I want. This is very similar to almost crimping a pie, I would say. It's pretty straightforward, I think. You kind of just use your hands and your tools to shape and sculpt the clay into the shape that you want. You do have to be mindful of the thickness. So here I am very gently forming the edge of the trinket dish and being mindful not to make it super thin. Otherwise, it could crack. After I form the edge, I'm going to go ahead and add the little balls on each of the, I don't know what these would be called, the yin and yang like pieces. I'm doing a little bit of scoring on the balls as well before adding those on, and just kind of gently pressing those and really kind of, getting them to stick. Just doing some light edits now on the edges, making sure to be gentle, very gentle. I really like using a combination of tools and my hands. I think it just makes it more fun. I don't like using just tools, and I find just using your hands is also quite difficult. You do need some tools to make those like sharp edges and certain shapes. The edge of this trinket dish proved to be a little bit of a challenge for me, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know that the method that I used to apply it on was really the best, but we were winging this. Because it seemed a little uneven to me, I ended up having to add a little bit more clay to it after it had dried for about like 10 hours. So I let the piece dry so that it could harden a little bit, and then I went ahead and added a little bit more clay, as you can see, and I'm just smoothing that out with my fingers and make it look a little bit more even around the edges. And that's kind of like a really cool thing you can do with air dry clay, is you can still manipulate it while it's drying. So If you feel like there's an edge or like a corner or something that's like too delicate to work with while it's still wet, you can totally let it dry for a bit before going back and working with it. Okay, so here's my piece after it's dried. This took like 48 hours to dry. It took quite long. And after it fully dried, so making sure that, you know, it wasn't cold to the touch, it was completely just neutral feeling, I went ahead and sanded it down. Used a nail drill as well as just a nail file. Okay, now I am prepping my piece for painting, and I'm just using some acrylic paint here. This is white acrylic paint, and I'm using this as kind of like a base coat or primer. I don't really use anything fancy. A lot of the acrylic paints that I use, I honestly buy from the dollar store, or I'll just get, you know, a cheaper line from Michael's. Yeah, and they usually just work out great for stuff like this. I'm going ahead and adding the white all over the piece, making sure to get into all of the little crevices so that we have a nice smooth surface to work with when we're working with our actual colors. The color scheme I'm going for here is like a black, taupe, and orange kind of vibe. It's funny, I really wanted to do these colors, and I didn't really even know why, because they seemed kind of random to me. And thinking about it, after I completed the piece, I realized that I was super inspired by the movie and the book Dune. So the weekend I was painting this, I actually had watched Dune, and we have the first book sitting in front of the TV. We have a bunch of books underneath our big screen TV. And the cover of Dune is super beautiful. It's orange. It's got this like really bold lettering, and it's very striking. I really like it. And just watching the movie, it had just, you know, obviously a similar vibe. So I think I was unintentionally inspired to use these colors. So here we are. Honestly, guys, I am not a super experienced or skilled painter by any means. Sometimes projects like these can be a little bit daunting to me, but I was just flowing with it at this point. I just thought, you know what, we have these little nail art brushes. It's okay if we screw up, no big deal. We can always go back and edit, and this is just going to be fun. And if you are struggling with painting, let me tell you, nail art brushes are absolutely fantastic. They really make painting little thin lines and little details so much easier. So it could be that maybe you just need to experiment with different brushes if you are, you know, having a hard time. Honestly, I kind of just let go here. I decided to just kind of start adding whatever felt good. I put on some neoclassical music, and I just started basically doodling with this paintbrush, and I really started liking what I was seeing. So I just kept going. Just kind of decided to trust the process. This is super, super random, but I was listening to this podcast earlier today, and there was something that was said that really resonated with me. And it was, when you say yes to things that you really want to do, or you say no to things that you don't want to do, and you make those decisions confidently, you are building so much trust within yourself. And when you build that trust within yourself, you're also building up your self-confidence. And when you're building up your self-confidence, you become this like supercharged person, and you have way more confidence in so many different aspects of your life. And I just think that that is a super beautiful piece of advice. So I thought I had to share. Moving back to clay, I decided to stamp my piece with my little Zesties clay stamp that I have. And now it's time to glaze. I am glazing this piece with UV resin. I think UV resin is really your best option when using air dry clay, because air dry clay can be a little delicate, and if you want to protect your piece, you want your piece to be durable, you should be using a heavy duty varnish or resin to make sure that, you know, your piece looks good and it lasts, right? So here's my little piece curing away in the UV lamp, and that's it, guys. Here's how it turned out. I am so obsessed. I did not see it going in this direction, honestly, but I really like how it turned out. What do you think? Here's what it looks like with some jewelry. It fits 2 rings on it perfectly. And you can kind of play around with how you put your chains or your necklaces on there. It's just a really fun little piece. I love it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you've come this far, I super appreciate you. I hope to keep bringing you content like this. So if you like this content, let me know. Okay, bye.